The following podcast is brought to you by the Chandlers Podcasting Network, found exclusively at wrestlingwithchandlers.com.
Hi, this is Brad Marcus, and welcome to another episode of Toiletside Wrestling Talk. Today's guest began his in-ring career in 2016. He's worked for such promotions as Imperial Wrestling Revolution, Metroplex Wrestling, Dallas Championship Wrestling, New Texas Pro, Inspire Pro, Texoma Pro Wrestling, and you also may have seen him on AEW Dark. He's held the Texoma Pro Tag Team Championships, as well as the MPX Attic Championship and the IWR Revolutionary Championship. Shared the ring with the likes of Andrade, Dante Martin, Trey Miguel, Spider-Man star Tom Holland's stylist, Davey Richard, Brian Cage, Wardlow, and I could go on, but I won't. So let's welcome today's guest, someone who doesn't believe that a circle has sides. I give you the young gun, Chandler Hopkins. Hey, Chandler, what's going on?
Hey, man, how are you? That was really awesome, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, it was all you. You did all the work.
That is really cool.
You did all the hard stuff. Quick question I was thinking about. Okay, I'm learning about all different apps, okay? So I just learned literally the other day that TikTok is not a hooking up app. What's Twitch?
So Twitch is a gaming app. So it's like a gaming channel. So I stream live video games and chat with people that I have a community with and build friendships online like that. So it's basically a social platform for gamers. And you can go watch your favorite people play video games. So a lot of wrestlers actually do it. We all have some love for some kind of aspect of video games or comics or something. And so we just bring our love to Twitch and we stream for people that like to watch us play video games.
Now, I love video games. So before I ask this question, so why do so many wrestlers love video games or comics?
I think it's because it's that superhero aspect. We do the fighting in the ring, so it's kind of like the connecting factor of we get to be superheroes when we're inside the ring, and when you play video games, you have a lot of like superhero-esque combat sports. Everything is kind of like you can be your own person that created whatever online inside of the video game you're playing. So it's like a virtual reality kind of type thing where you get to go to a different realm with your friends and play games. And then when you come back to the real world, I think wrestlers relate to it because we get to go jump into a ring in front of people as our job and we get to do the same thing. So I think it's just a thing that comes full circle with wrestlers.
So what's your, what game do you play mostly?
Right now, I'm currently going through the Hitman series with my chat.
Cool.
So I'm on the first Hitman game right now. We're almost finished with it. We're chapter 5 or 6. And then whenever I'm done with that, I'll alternate to Assassin's Creed. And I'm going to do an alternation where I do all 3 Hitmans and the last 3 Assassin's Creed, alternating them until I finish them. So I'll be doing that for a little bit.
is this something that you do like on Tuesday nights at 7? You know what I mean? Like, or is it just whenever you want to get on?
Yeah, so when I first started, I had a set schedule, and then it got
Mhm.
so crazy with wrestling and regular life that it's just kind of, hey, I have a community on an app called Discord, where you everyone who follows you on Twitch can come. We can chat like it's a regular text, but it's a group type messaging system. And so whenever I go to get on, just let them know a couple hours earlier that I'm going to be getting on, and they'll jump on with me and hang out with me for a few, and we'll sit here and play video games and stuff together for about a couple hours. I've had some charity streams and some other streams that we've done, and we streamed for 12 and 15 hours straight and raised money for. We did a charity stream for Christmas this past Christmas for kids in need, and we raised between me, myself, and between me and two other wrestlers, Marty the Moth Casals and Sledge 805. We raised $6,500 towards
Really?
Christmas gifts and things for kids to
That's
have.
amazing.
Yeah, there's just a
So
lot of
like,
different things we use it for.
so say I wanted to follow you, like what do I like on there? What do I do?
Okay, so if you don't have a Twitch, download the
Uh-huh.
Twitch app, and
Okay.
then just create an account. It'll make you create an account, and then all you gotta do is type in my name. If you can't find it on there, just go to my social medias. I have it on my Instagram. You can click on the link and go to it as well. But my name is Captain Pew Pew on Twitch, and it's kind of like my gaming profile. You can look me up, and we can play video games. I play games with my community all the time. We play a game called Brawlhalla, which is
Uh-huh.
like an old school Smash Brothers game. If you ever played
Oh,
Smash
cool.
Brothers,
Oh, yeah.
except for it's got every realm of different possibilities. You can play as wrestlers, you can play as comic book guys, you can play as superheroes, and they all do a mashup of beating each other up until the last person's left on the map. So, but I play that a lot with my community as well. So yeah, anyone who wants to come follow or hang out, come on.
That would be awesome. All right, I have a question. I know this is supposed to be about wrestling. What's what's Steam?
What's Steam? So
Yeah.
Steam is a online platform for your computer to where you can go. Do you have an Xbox by any chance?
Yes.
Okay, so you know what the Xbox Game Pass is.
Yes.
So it's the same thing with Steam. If you buy the Steam Pass, you have unlimited access to all these games on Steam that you can download and
Oh,
play, but they're for your computer instead of like Game Pass for your Xbox.
got it. Got it. So are you in Oklahoma right now?
I currently am in Oklahoma, yes.
And you grew up in Oklahoma, correct?
No, I'm actually from Amarillo, Texas. I grew up in Texas. I currently live just across the border from Texas right now in Oklahoma because it's a little bit cheaper and, on a wrestler's budget sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me, so growing up there, are you affiliated with Dallas teams,
So my
San
favorite sports
Antonio,
teams.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually kind of funny because my whole family has always been. So if we were talking about football, my whole family
Mm-hmm.
has been Cowboys fans. They're always Cowboy everything, right? I
Mm-hmm.
was the oddball because I felt like I was kind of being forced into being a Cowboys fan. So I didn't really pick a team early on. I kind of
Uh-huh.
I bounced around from team to team. And then whenever I think it was about my freshman year of high school, I really fell in love with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Steelers are actually my football team. That's who I go for every single year. And I'm the oddball in the family. Everyone else is wearing cowboy jerseys or cowboy hats and stuff. And I'm the one walking around with black and yellow repping the Steelers. So
Oh, wow, that's
um,
pretty ballsy of you to do that.
I think that's always been me though, and it's like in general in life, I've always been the one that's kind of not afraid to do his own thing. Like I don't
Mm-hmm.
mind, walking my own path, and if we're with a group, I don't mind going off and doing my own thing while everyone does theirs and meeting back up
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
I've just always been that kind of lone wolf guy, so it never has really bothered me to just walk my own path.
Did you like your parents think that you were different? You know what I mean? Like
By like the
as far
way
as he does his own thing and we're fine with that.
so they knew that I was because when I was younger, I was diagnosed with or ADHD, and I think
Sure.
most people that do a lot of things at once are ADHD, and most of the world
Mm-hmm.
probably is too because of our phones now.
Sure, sure.
But I think they didn't necessarily think I was different, but they knew there was something different about me. Like, not that I was challenged at any point because I don't feel
Mm-hmm.
like I was, and I don't think they thought that. But it was one of those
Sure.
things where they knew at some point in time, like he's not like the rest of the family. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
got something more about him, and I think that started showing whenever started playing sports. because I think the athletic and the competitive side is what they noticed early on in my life, because that's always been something that I've done. And I think that's what they really was like, oh, because none of my family really played sports. My mom did when she was younger. She played softball, but that was it. My
Did you
whole
have
family.
siblings?
I have a younger brother, yeah, and he didn't really play sports either until high school, and then he played a year of football, and then he did rodeo. Rodeo was his thing. You know, we grew up on a farm, and we grew up out in the country doing our own things. So we had buck and barrels that we had built out of string and tied it to like little posts, and we bucked each other off on the barrels and stuff so we could practice. And
Oh,
it was something
wow.
he was always really good at. And you know, if he wouldn't have stopped, you know, rodeo to have a family, he was gonna have he would have got his pro card in bareback for like bareback
Wow.
bronc. So he was that good, yeah. So, but that was something
Did
that
you
he
ever,
excelled.
were you ever involved in rodeo?
Yeah, I rode bulls for a little while. I've roped. I've done some things in the rodeo, of course, but you know, it was never like my thing. I was good, but I wasn't like really good. Like my brother
Yeah.
rodeoing was really good. He was definitely the rodeo king out of us two. Now, if we went and played any other sport, it was no doubt hands down. I was gonna take that. But at rodeo, when it came to rodeo, there was just I couldn't get him.
Could he make, say he didn't get married and family and all that stuff, could he make a good living doing
Oh
that?
yeah. So rodeo pays really well. Like they have the PBR that's live all over the place, all over the
Yeah.
world every year. So getting his pro card would have allowed him to enter into those. And he was already at his age, whenever he turned 18, he rodeoed. I want to say he rodeoed till he was 21, 22 before he decided to get married.
Wow.
And whenever he was dominating the competition. Like he was outscoring them by 6 and 7 points on a ride, and he was just that good. But you know, sometimes you don't choose that professional athlete aspect. You've got enough of it whenever you got enough. And I think that's where me and my brother differ. Is you know, we both are very competitive, but he wants a little something different out of life, and that's okay. He wants to have that family and settle down and all that stuff. And yeah, that's great. And I got a niece and a nephew out of the deal, so I'm excited about
Oh,
it.
yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah,
Question. I'm gonna throw a hypothetical out.
okay.
You and your brother are together, drinking a little bit, maybe you drink a little much. Would you have zero problem getting him down to the ground?
If I wanted to wrestle with my brother,
You know, say things got a little rough, you've been drinking a
oh yeah,
bit.
we've we've had our scuffles before, and when I was younger,
Uh-huh.
or well, when we were younger, yeah, I had no problem with it. But as we got older, there's my brother works in the oil field, so I may go to the gym a lot, and I may be like gym strong. But my
Yeah.
brother works in the oil field for 20, almost 20 years. No, he's at 15, about 15 years. And so that's a lot of like hard labor, lot of twisting and slinging hammers and like a lot of like just farm boy strength.
Yeah, yeah.
So today, in the days when we wrestle, I still have the advantage because I know how to wrestle. I know how to maneuver and stuff like that. So
Sure,
I
yeah.
put him in submissions pretty easily and things like that. But he's just very strong. So when he gets his hands on me, it's like, all right. But he might be my little brother, but he's also 3 inches taller than me. And
Oh,
he
wow.
outweighs me by about 25 pounds too. So he's not a small guy, but yeah,
Yeah.
I can maneuver my way around.
Okay,
We have
so
fun all the time wrestling, and we've had our real fights back when we were younger, and
he ever
yeah,
punch you in the face?
oh, we've hit each other plenty of times.
Oh, wow, taking like really going for it.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
there
Did
was
your
one night
did your
where
parents?
I cracked an egg over his head, and that started and escalated.
Oh, really?
So yeah, but we always shook hands afterwards, and it was one of those things like we got it out of the way. But we're brothers, and that's just I think how a lot of brothers handle
Yeah,
stuff.
totally. Were your parents from that area? Like, did
Um,
they grow up in the same
yeah,
area?
they grew up a little north of Amarillo. I grew up pretty
Uh,
much in the outskirts of Amarillo, and then
okay.
my junior and senior, or my middle school and high school years, we kind of got sprinkled into the city life a little bit more. Um, but my mom was from a little town called Dumas, just
Okay.
north of Amarillo, Texas. It's maybe 45 minutes north of Amarillo. Very small town. Maybe like 5,000, 6,000 people in it at the time whenever she was there. Now it's grown. But my dad was from Sunrise,
Okay.
and that's about 15 miles. I want to say it's east of
Okay.
where Dumas is at, where our mom was at. So they're outside of Amarillo about an hour or so.
How did they end up meeting, if you don't mind me asking?
There was high school that brought my
Oh,
parents
okay.
together. They met early on. You know, my mom had me when she was 18. Um,
Nice. Get it out
Unfortunately,
of the way.
my dad I didn't really ever know. I
Uh-huh.
have a stepdad that really I call my father now. Um,
Yeah.
and he adopted me and everything when we were younger.
Oh,
So I consider him my dad, and I still talk
yeah.
to him as if. But you know, my mom, my real dad, they just met in high school, and it was one of those things
Mm-hmm.
where they were high school sweethearts, and towards the end of high school, I mean, they decided, hey, this is going to happen, and boom, here I am.
Yeah, there you are. It's great. You got a young mom then.
Yeah,
And
my
I'm not
mom.
saying that in a disgusting way. I'm
No,
saying you
it's
can
fine.
enjoy things with her, you know.
Absolutely.
Um, did are are males in that are born in Texas, is it just assumed you're gonna play football if you're
So when it comes to sports, I think every dad is like, yo, my son's going to play football. And I
uh
think that's just something from the South. I think Texas is really big on it, but if you come down south or stuff like that, like especially if you got Florida, you got New Orleans and Alabama all down here, it's really big football, football, football.
okay.
Now I don't think it's like like necessarily one of those things where it's like, hey, you're gonna play football, but I think every dad, whenever they have a son, is like, yo, I hope my son plays
Yeah,
football, you know?
totally.
So it's definitely the mentality down here. I did play for a long time. I played. I started playing whenever I was in second grade.
Okay.
And whenever I was started playing, it was for a company called Kids Inc., which is like a third party outside of your school kind of company where they put on football games between the youth.
Yeah.
And they didn't have flag football back then. So they started us out in second grade, tackle football. And we were full padded in second grade playing football. And we know nothing about the game. And we're just like, we get to hit somebody.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, I started in second grade and I played all the way until I was a senior and graduated. And then I went to a school called Southwestern Oklahoma State University. Played there well, I was on the team for about a year, but I never ever actually played. I
Uh-huh.
got into a fraternity and did some stupid stuff with the
Yeah.
fraternity and
Fun
that whole
stuff.
thing. But
Mhm.
afterwards, I went back to Amarillo, Texas, and I played some semi-professional football there for a company called the Amarillo Titans,
Oh
and
wow.
played a season for them. And then the season after that, I went to Lubbock and I played for a company called the Lubbock HC Bisons, which was another semi-pro team. And that year, I actually went and played in the Dallas Cowboys AT&T Stadium.
No.
In the playoffs. So that was pretty cool. But after that, it was
Wow.
kind of just one of those things where I was like, okay, I think football's done, and that's kind of how it stopped for me. And
Did you get to go to like 50-yard line and stand like in
oh yeah,
the star?
yeah,
Wow.
I've been. Well, they actually have like a tour. Other than playing on it, when I was playing on it, yeah, I was all up and down the field. It was fun. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool. I had 2 touchdowns in the game too, so it was really cool just to
Oh,
do that in the
awesome.
game. But like they have actually a tour in Dallas where you can go up to the stadium Monday through Friday, and you can actually go up to the front door. It's like a big novelty store. You can buy a bunch
Yeah.
of the Dallas Cowboy merchandise, but you can also buy a pass to go down onto they take you down onto the field and you can walk the field and stuff, and they take you in a locker room tour around to where the locker rooms are, so you can get pictures and stuff in there and everything like that, and that's just like a daily thing you can go do in Dallas.
Could you bring a football and you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
And
they
like
have
just
footballs and everything there you can
quickly
throw around and play and
throw
just catch with and
a
stuff. Yeah,
touchdown
sometimes.
pass.
I'm sorry.
No, no, it froze for a second. I think we're good now.
Yeah.
Um, so when did pro wrestling first make its appearance
So
in your life?
pro wrestling kind of came about where I was selling cars for about 5 years after stopping playing semi-pro football, and
Okay.
I was 26 and I was doing really good at selling cars. I was making a good living and everything, but I just
Mhm.
wasn't like satisfied with life, and
Yeah.
I knew I wanted something to do, and I wanted to be in something athletic. I was staying in the gym anyways the entire time. I was still staying fit because it was athletics to me, so I had something
Yeah.
to keep myself going.
Hmm.
But we were at work one day, and a buddy came to me, and he was like, "Hey, I have tickets for WWE at Chesapeake Arena," and this was in Oklahoma City. And he was like, yeah, you want to go? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. So we get
Had
there.
you ever watched it prior to that?
Oh yeah, I had been watching since I was a kid, which is kind of
funny okay.
Because the guy that took me didn't know that I watched either. And so we get there and he starts telling me about all the storylines. And I was like, yeah, I know, man. I'll kind of watch. So I started stuff back off to him. And he looked at me and he was like, oh, you're like a closet wrestling freak, huh? I was like, yeah, I like wrestling. And so it was kind of one of those things where just kind of we hit off talking about wrestling. And he asked me if I had ever been to an independent show, like an indie show.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked at him and I was like, what the heck is that? And he was like, oh, bro, it's like where they get young guys come up, where you see them first starting before they get to like levels like this. I was like, what? I was like, they have that, like farm leagues? And he's like, it's kind of like that. So he took me to a show, and at the show they were doing like at the intermission, the announcer announced that they were having some tryouts coming up in the next couple months. And so it started like bouncing off my head at that moment, like, hey, you've always loved wrestling. I've wrestled on trampolines. Me and my brother used to wrestle all the time on the couches. So it's like, you've always loved wrestling. I mean, maybe this is it.
Yeah.
So I emailed him, and it was weird because within about 5 minutes of sending him my initial email with the pictures they asked for and like my background.
What kind of pictures do they ask for?
They just want to see like what your body stature is.
Okay.
So kind of like if you work out or if you don't work out, so you can tell like body type.
You didn't have to put lingerie on and send it to them.
No.
Okay, okay, go on.
Just took the regular gym selfie.
Not boudoir shots. Got it.
But yeah, so I sent in the email, and within about 5 minutes, the owner had gotten back to me. He was like, "Hey, we'd love to have you come down. Looks like you could really help us out down here as well. Here's the address. When could you start?" But it was like one of those things where I put it in, not really realizing that I could possibly get this, and I never talked to my boss. And because I work in the car industry, you don't have weekends off. You work Monday through Sunday. Like you have 2 days off, and it's usually either a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Monday or a Wednesday. You don't get them back to back.
Sure.
And training days were Saturdays and Sundays, and they were about 2 hours away from Oklahoma City. So I would have to go down and travel down to train, stay, and then train, and then come home. So I went and talked to my boss at the time. I kind of let him know what was going on. He was like, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the 2-day weekend if you can guarantee me that you'll keep your numbers where you're at or increase them. I was like, okay, that's not a problem. And so him working with me allowed me to kind of chase my dream of the possibility of being a professional wrestler. So for 3 months straight, every weekend, I drove down to Ardmore, Oklahoma, and then after training, I drove back to Oklahoma City where I was living. And then Sunday morning, I'd get up and drive back to Ardmore. And then I'd get back up and drive back to Oklahoma City afterwards. And I'd work Monday through Friday. And they were about 4 to 6 hour training sessions every time too. So, and there were some times where I just was really tired after training, where I would either crash with a buddy that was at training with me sometimes if I could, because they were in the area, or I've slept in my car several times just overnight at the training facility just so I could be there the next day for training as well. And I did that for 3 months straight, and then they put me into the fire, and it took off from there. And 27 years old, I made my debut in professional wrestling.
That's amazing. Now, were you making these car trips alone?
Sometimes, yeah, and I still do to this day. I make 6 and 8 hour car trips alone all the time now. Used to not, but it's to the point now where I'm not always at the same places all my buddies are at, and that's part of wrestling. Is a lot of times in the beginning, you're all going to the same places because you're all trying to get onto the same places.
Sure.
And then once it takes off, it's like, okay, well, this place is calling me here, and this place is calling me there, and this place is calling you there, and this place is calling. So all your friends kind of like, it's not like we forget about each other, but we get pulled in so many different directions. You don't always have that opportunity to ride with everyone sometimes. So sometimes you just got to take the chances, go by yourself. And I mean, I've gotten very lucky now because over the past year and a half, I literally fly everywhere now. I very rarely drive very often.
Oh, that's great.
So it's been nice. Yeah, of course.
Do you prefer flying to driving?
Yeah, I do. If it's like a long distance, I don't know.
You're talking about an airplane. You don't have powers.
Yeah, no, I'm not a pilot. No, I would love to be.
No, but you can't fly like Superman, right?
No.
Okay, our son doesn't do that too.
Nope. No.
Okay.
Unfortunately not.
I'm sorry, I got off topic there.
You're good.
So at this point, you're training, you're working, 5 days a week. I assume you're going to the gym as well, like,
Mhm.
for upkeep. Do you have time for anything else? Like, did you have times to play video games for, 4 hours?
Um, Sometimes no, and that's the hard thing about keeping a schedule. Like with the Twitch, I used to play Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I
Uh,
did it from 10:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I did that for a while just because it was a good source of income, and I've built a good community, and it was helping with the bills, and it still
yeah.
does. But at the same time, I enjoyed playing video games. But now, with as much as I'm working, as much upkeep I'm having to do, it's more so one of those things where I have to make time for certain things I want to do, but usually it's kind of like a sporadic or spontaneous, like, hey, I've got this extra time. Let's use it wisely,
Yeah, yeah,
So
totally.
that's kind of like what today was too. I really wasn't planning on playing anything or doing anything today. And I was like, you know what? I have a couple hours before the stream. I was like,
Mhm.
I could stream video games up until the stream and then they can watch if it's all right. And that's how I can end the stream the day afterwards. So sometimes it's just kind of one of those days, like in the moment. Hey, I got some free time, and that's why it's good to have that Discord app so I can
Yeah.
comment in there, give them a few hours so they can see it, and then that way everyone's good to go whenever it happens.
Do you ever feel like you have a responsibility to be on a certain amount of times?
Yeah.
Is
It's
that
one of those
frustrating?
things. Yeah, especially like with you and having a podcast, it's almost the same
Uh,
thing of like you kind of feel like you owe it to your watchers and listeners to make sure you have
yeah.
podcasts up. Same thing with Twitch. Like whenever I don't have, because I was just got back from literally I was gone for 10 days and I wasn't able to do this, so I didn't get to give
Uh-huh.
them anything. So I felt bad the entire time because I haven't been able to be here for them, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like pop up stuff like this is cool because it's out of nowhere, and they're really understanding too because they know
Oh,
my
that's
job, they
cool.
know what I do for a living, and they understand I'm not around a lot all the time. So they're very patient and cool with it.
That's awesome. Okay, first day of training. Excuse me, let me back up. The night before, were you nervous at all?
Absolutely,
Had you ever been in a
absolutely.
wrestling ring?
Huh?
Had you ever been in a wrestling ring before?
Nope, I'd never even touched one. I'd only been at that point. I'd only been to like maybe 3 or 4 WWE events, and they had
Yeah.
always been far away. So I had never even been up close to a wrestling ring. So I
Uh-huh.
didn't like it was just one of those things where I didn't know what to expect. But I knew in my mind I was like, I just don't know if I got what it takes. But I'm also that kind of guy that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm not gonna half-ass it. I'm going to give it
Yeah, yeah.
110%. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least I can say, hey, I tried it. I put my
Mm-hmm.
full into it.
Yeah, I always tell my son that actually. I'm like, don't do it if you're gonna, do it half-ass. Like,
Yeah.
it's not worth it then. You're wasting
Oh.
everyone's time. I'm not that good of a dad. That's probably the only thing I've ever taught him. Um, so what initially was like the hardest thing for you to grasp
um,
in the training?
Honestly, it was probably the slow down aspect because it always seems like when you're watching, they're going so fast,
Yeah.
but they're still giving you those pauses to recognize what's going on. And people would always tell me, you're really good. You're really smooth. You've got agility. You can do a lot of stuff in that ring, but you need to slow down. So I thought it was more so like they were telling me to slow my movements down, but that's
Uh-huh.
not necessarily what they were saying. They were just like, slow down, read the crowd, take it in, understand what the crowd's asking, give like certain things like that, not
Hmm.
necessarily, hey, your speed's too fast. So I think that
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
hardest thing for me to grasp. And it took me about 2 years, but after that, I was like, oh wait, I need to create moments. That's where the slowdown's at. Like, why am I doing this? Pause, give them that moment, show them why. Now let's speed it up and show them something. Oh, but give them a moment at the end of that speed. So it was definitely one thing that it took me just a little bit to learn, but it was the hardest thing for me to learn. But I'm
Now,
glad I did because it was the best thing for me to learn.
oh, sure. Now, is that something that like, hey, today this is we're gonna talk about this, or we're gonna work on this, or is that something where it's like you talk to veterans and they kind of just give
Mhm.
you, it's not something that's like a formal
It's like
class.
a repetition type thing. It's almost a
Hmm.
hands-on learning because it's if I tell you over and over and over again, you're not going to comprehend it because you can't put what I'm saying with what's going on out in the ring. Like
Hmm.
going through the motions and having the repetition of going through a match and then understanding, oh, I could have slowed down there. Sweet. Next match, I'll do that. Next match you get to it, you slow down and do something. And, okay, cool. Maybe later on in the match you go, oh, hey, I could have slowed down here. So now you have pieces. So the more you wrestle, the more knowledge you're going to have about what you can and can't do, where and when. You can't just get in there and have 10 matches and go, oh, hey, I get it already. It just doesn't work.
I'm a wrestler.
I'm fixing to be September. It'll be 6 years in the wrestling business for me. And I wrestled Matt Cross last night, and it was my 584th match.
Wow.
It takes repetition to get to where you want to be at, and that's what people don't understand.
Okay, now this is going to be a stupid question, because do you remember all your matches? I mean, 508, no. But do you remember everyone you've wrestled?
I can remember most of the people that I wrestled. It takes me a minute because I have to think about it. Now, I wish I would have started like a journal like Chris Jericho did, and every match that he did wrote it down, because I think back a lot of times to some of the guys I wrestled and go, man, how did that finish go? Because even like I wrestled Matt Cross just yesterday, Sunday, and we wrestled each other a year exactly to the date. And we were talking, like we got there and we had so much fun. We were ready to do it again. And we were like, man, I cannot remember what we did in the last match. Neither one of us could, but we've had so many matches since then to sit there and go, yeah, I remember this, I remember this, I remember this. And neither one of us has seen the match yet either. So we couldn't go back and watch it anywhere. But it was just one of those things, like, I wish I would have wrote it down, because some of these matches would have been really cool to be able to remember. I remember like big spots from big matches that I had that I really loved, like my favorites and stuff like that. But there's a lot of like in the middle matches that, I don't remember. And I wish I would have wrote them down, because they would be really cool to go back and say, yo, I remember that. That was really cool.
Yeah. But you don't know that, like, at the beginning, to be writing down, keeping a journal of, who you've wrestled and what happened in the match. Does anybody, while you're training, does anyone take you under their wing, or, like, because you're new?
Okay. When I first started, I had several mentors. One of my first mentors was Coyote Joe. He's a Chickasaw warrior down in Oklahoma, and he made a really big name for himself. He internationally traveled and went to Japan and Mexico early on in his career. And by the time he started training me, I think he was about 10 or 11 years in. So he had some good knowledge. But I basically took the basics from him, because I molded everything else to be me, because I told myself I wanted to be completely different. So it started out really kind of getting, my first actual really big mentor was Chavo Guerrero Jr. And he had asked to wrestle me for the company that I was at, because he had watched a couple of the shows already. So we came in, and I'll never forget, like, the way he just coached you around the ring, the way he handled everything so well. And like, kayfabe is dead and everything. I think we understand that. But the way we talked in the ring to get to the things we needed to do, and we didn't say anything to each other before the match, like nothing. He came in, he had already done a study on me. He said, cool, I know you do this, I know you do this, and I know you do this. I'll talk to you out there. And he put things where he wanted them. And that taught me right then and there, early in my career. I wrestled him about a year into my career, and it taught me right then and there, like, oh man, I don't have to plan an A to Z match to have a spectacular match. I just got to give moments. And moments is something that really took me a minute to start creating. And now I've gotten to the point in the aspect, because of places like AEW now that I get to go to. And there's a lot of people there that take me under their wing and say, hey man, this is good. This is good. Thank you for doing this. Like, CD tells me all the time now when I'm there. He gives me critiques here and there. And the last couple of times I've been there, he's been right there. Hey, this is this, this is this, this is this, do this, this, this. So he's on point with being that guy that's there to help you be better. And that's one thing I love about going to AEW, is being able to pick CD's brains sometimes too. And of course the talent, the talent there is great. So just being able to share locker rooms with those people. Over the past 6 months, I've wrestled Mike Bennett, Davey Richards, Trey Miguel,
Dante Martin,
Buddy Matthews, Brian Cage, TJP, and just in the past 6 months. So that's a lot of learning tree right underneath. That's a lot of guys just throwing knowledge at you left and right. And most of them I still talk to this day, because a lot of them want to see me do good. And that makes me feel good, because they see the hard work that I'm putting in. So that's really cool to see those guys that I just named off really put their name and their stamp on me.
So you were a wrestling fan as a kid. Is it hard to, not hard, but like, so when you go to AEW and seeing these people you see on TV, or working with Chavo, who you saw, growing up when he was wrestling and you were a fan, is it hard to kind of separate that?
Yeah, honestly, I told myself when I was first getting into this business, like I knew at that point I was going to meet at least a couple of bigger stars. At some point in time, it was going to happen. But I had told myself, hey, from now on, once you say yes to being in this business, the fan aspect can still be there. But when it comes to the wrestlers, you can't fanboy out. It's cool to say, hey, I appreciate what you did. You gave me a lot of like hope in life and stuff like that, or coming up to them saying, hey, you're my favorite. That's cool. But the constant being around and stuff, I've never taken a picture with any of the names I've ever been with. Never. Except for Brian Cage. And that's because Brian and I work out and we hang out a lot together. So we have
Oh,
pictures
okay.
together.
Did
But
you
like
want to though?
like in the back of my mind, yeah, I'm like, yo, you should get pictured with these guys because you're gonna, you'll never get them again. But at the same time, the professional in me goes, you know what? They're humans too, and outside of here, they get bombarded with people wanting to take pictures all the time. It's gonna it's gonna be meaning way more to them to not walk up to them and, hey, can I get a picture, and just be there for them as a friend and a
Sure.
colleague. So those are the memories that I'll get to have for myself. And yeah, I don't have a lot of pictures of it except for stuff that's in the ring with some of these guys, but I'll still have those memories myself, and that's stuff that I think is pretty cool.
Do they ever tell you, like, critique you in a negative way?
Oh yeah, I mean, and I
Is that
encourage
hard
it
to
too.
hear?
It is, but I would rather someone tell me what I did wrong and how to fix it, or at least tell me like, hey, this was a little off or wonky, and this is how you could fix it this way. Then sit there and I come back and go, oh man, you're just so good. You did everything
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
I don't. In every match, I feel like you can learn from something, at least one thing, right? And I mean, last night I wrestled Matt again, and we did a lot of cool stuff. But as soon as we got back to the back, we started picking each other apart. Like this is this, this and this, this is this, 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 this. But we enjoy that because we're at that type of the professional that we want to be as best as we can, because we're getting to those levels where you can't have flubs, you can't have mistakes, which we didn't have any flubs and mistakes. It was just those things like this could have been a little bit better, this could have been a little bit smoother. And that's just the nitpick that we have at the level that we're trying to get to. And I like that kind of like, now I don't want you as soon as I come back out of the curtain, you go like, yo man, this was that, like, okay,
Yeah.
give me a couple minutes to process everything, what happened. And then, yeah, I go around and I say, hey man, did you by any chance get to see it? Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, anything I did wrong that you could have, like, that you didn't like, I mean, anything at all. And you get a lot of people like, nah, man, it's so everything was good, but it's because they don't want to hurt your feelings. And I understand that.
Yeah.
But then, like, you have the real solid ones that come up to you like, nah, man, okay, this right here could have been this, this, and this, and then got that to get better. Or, hey, to set this up, you could have tried this instead because that looked awkward. Like, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. And it shouldn't be a negative thought. It should be one of those thoughts of, I didn't see it from your perspective, because not everyone sees this wrestling the same way. And if we can stop going from the, oh man, he's just tearing me down and he's making everything negative, to, oh, I see your point of view and that could actually really work. And I could use that sometime. Thank you. You don't have to use it, or you don't have to even, put it into a thought to use or anything. You can, but they took time out of their day and their busy schedule after you asked them and they gave you the critique. I mean, take the critique instead of, oh yeah, but I hate that. Like when people come up to you and ask for a critique and I give them a critique and they go, yeah, but I did it for, okay, like,
exactly. They want to hear something different.
No, but yeah, I love the critiques.
How long did it take for you? Maybe you're not at this point, but how long did it take for you to feel like comfortable in the ring?
To feel like really comfortable, like I could just do everything. I feel like by the time I debuted, I was really, really comfortable in the ring itself. Now, there's a couple of things like rope wise that I was doing that were real flashy that I wasn't 100% with. And I think after I really figured out my move set and what I was doing character wise, it was about a year in, and I was just like really solid. And I could really feel comfortable with what I was doing and where I was supposed to be, placement, knowing where I was at in the ring at all times. Like, it took me probably a good year.
So are you you, and as a pro wrestler in general, are you constantly looking to add to your move set, or did you get to a point where like, all right, I like what I have here and I'm just going to go with that?
I think it's good to have a wide range of moves. Like a move set is really good to have, but I'm kind of like I'm a little bit like a John Cena. I have 5 moves of doom, and I just stick to them. Like, but there's a thing too is like I can hit a lot of different things out of nowhere if I need to, but I don't always do it because I feel like that should be like in a special moment. Like, cool, I can do all the cool flips and springboard 450s, and I can do springboard forearms, and I can do all that stuff. But why would I do that until whoever I'm wrestling has shown me they can stop me from doing what I normally do? At that point, I think it's like, okay, cool. I can't hit any of my 5 moves of doom. So you've been scouting me. Cool. Here, now I can hit this because you ain't seen it. So it means I enjoy just doing my 5 moves of doom because I can go to do something in one match, get it taken away from me, hit one of my other cool moves, and then they have to wait to the next match to see that cool move. So it makes it more of a spectacle instead of me hitting it every single match and them going, oh, cool, oh, cool, oh, cool. Sweet, we've seen this 100 times. Like if I find a different way to do it, or if I go for it and get stopped and don't get to do it that match, but hit another one of my cool moves, like the crowd stays invested in you. And I think that's how I've been able to stay so relevant with not doing as much in such a short and fast period of time as well. So I just try to stick to that simple method of less is more, and keep it simple, stupid. Like you don't have to be crazy.
Do you do like tape study?
Yeah, so I watch a lot of wrestling. I mean, especially in my spare time whenever I'm on the road or if I'm in an airport or anything like that, or sometimes at night I'll lay down and I'll put on a match or two. I'll go old school, but a lot lately it's been because I'm trying to work my way with AEW, as we all know, and I'm trying to still put in my time and effort there. So I watch a lot of their product, especially lately, so I can know exactly what it is they're looking for. Because Tony Khan has a brilliant mind, and it's crazy to think of like everywhere that he might do something with a storyline, and then all of a sudden he does the one thing you never would have thought about. It's cool to see what he's doing with AEW, so that's why I watch a lot of that product. But yeah, I do, and I have gone back and done a lot of old school study as well. I've watched the Monday Night Wars, and I love going back and watching Dusty Rhodes do his thing because Dusty, I believe, is the best that ever did it, and he was just a very charismatic entertainer. He may not have been the best looking guy, as we all know, and he had a lisp, but at the same time, he was one of the most popular because the crowd loved him, and he did what he did for the crowd every time, and they knew it. So,
did how did you get on AEW's radar?
So I actually had some really good friends that put in words for me, and it was people I had worked before. So the first person was Lance Hoyt, as we know, is the Murder Monster. He's from Texas. I'm from Texas. We've been on lots of road trips together. We've shared the ring with each other many times, and he put my name out there for him as well. The other one was Thunder Rosa, and Thunder Rosa is like my big sister. She has helped me so much throughout this, just wrestling in general. She was my very first intergender match, and we tore the house down. And ever since then, she's just literally been my big sister in this business. So proud of her and everything she's done. And then the other one was Brian Cage. Brian Cage and I had worked many times already at this point, and we had never really got to have the match we wanted in front of the crowd we wanted. And he knew if he got me there, I would show out and I would prove him right. And I did. So he was the last straw. Once he told the guys about me, I got an email and they said, hey, this is the dates we're looking at having you. This is what you need to have taken care of. Can you make it? Said yes, and I made it happen. It was a struggle, but I made it happen. I got there, and I got to wrestle Joey Janela my very first day. They put me in a 15-minute elevation match against Joey instead of just a dark squash, and they really wanted to do. And they said I impressed, and so now it's basically I'm just grinding with them. They've got a huge roster. It's got a lot of good talent on it, and I'm happy to be there all the time and just learn from them and be under the learning tree of all the greats that are there too. So I'm just trying to soak it all in and take it all in day by day when I'm there. And, I'm trying to live in the now. I don't want to fast forward too fast and miss too much, right?
Sure.
I want the contract. So that's why I'm there, and I'm hustling, and I'm doing what they ask of me. So I'm there a lot. And, you can see me in the next couple of weeks here in Texas when they come down here as well. So.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm going to let you go shortly, but I have one question. What's the best part? I'm not a wrestler. I'm not an athlete. I'm not anything close. What's the best part about being a pro wrestler?
I'd say there's two things.
Okay.
Travel, because I love to travel. I can't stay in
Hmm.
one place too long. I like seeing different places, and I enjoy seeing how different people's customs are. Like I
Yeah.
enjoy seeing how much different Texas and Oklahoma is from Pittsburgh and Florida and Vegas and all these different places I get to go. I enjoy seeing the different cultures.
Mhm.
And I think the second thing for me is the fans. Um, I love to wrestle. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's literally why I'm in the business, because of wrestling. But over the years, like, the fans have been the ones that have like kept me going. It's a lot of times where I've been beaten down, broken, and I've had injuries that I thought I was going to stay out with, and without the fans, I wouldn't have been able to come back, because I knew I had some people out there that were counting on me.
That's so
Um, just to hear people even say, "Hey, you're an inspiration because of this," or "I was able to lose this much weight because were an inspiration," whatever it may be. The fans are just what it is for me, and I know
wow.
without the fans, we wouldn't have wrestling anyways.
Sure,
So,
because you were one at one point too.
yeah, exactly. So I definitely say the traveling and then the fans. Of course, meeting new people and stuff is fun. So it's cool to see how the world works. And I think two really good things in figuring that out is traveling and seeing a lot of places, and seeing the people and meeting the people in those places.
Have you seen a Steelers game in Pittsburgh in
I
person?
absolutely have. I lived in Pittsburgh for about a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Okay, so you got
Yeah,
who was like, well, obviously the quarterback was Roethlisberger, but
right.
was it near like in those Super Bowl years?
Heinz Ward, we're still here. So
Mhm.
I lived there from 2010 to 2012.
Oh, okay.
So it was right in the heyday years.
Was Antonio Brown on? Was he
Antonio
on the
Brown
team
had
then?
just been there for like maybe his first year, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, I'm glad that you were able to at least get to one of those games. Um, Before I let you go, can I ask you five non-wrestling related questions?
let's
They're
do
just
it.
yes or no's. Oh, hon, before I get to that, do you have a shoot job?
I do. I work at a grow farm here
Okay.
in a dispensary, basically, for marijuana
Yeah, I was
in
there
Oklahoma.
earlier today.
So yep.
Oh, that's great. Do they know who you are?
Yeah, and my boss is actually very cool with it. He knows and he supports my dream, and that's why I work here as well. Is because he's kind of one of the same guys who has his own dreams and ambitions, and he chases them whether
Sure.
anyone tells him. So he always tells me all the time. He's like, "Hey man, wrestling's first. Make sure you put that first." He's like, "As long as you're here and you do your job, we're cool." He's like, "Just let me know when you're going to be gone, so I can make sure things are good." So, and he knows, yeah, and he thinks it's cool and stuff, but he also
Has he
treats me
seen
like
you
a regular
wrestle?
human being. I'm sorry.
Has he seen you wrestle in person or any
So it's
coworkers?
funny. It's funny. He's never seen me wrestle, but his entire family has.
Really?
Yeah, but he's never been to a show.
How does
So,
he get
but
away with that?
he's a very busy man.
Oh, okay.
He's got about his 8 or 9 different things that he's running and doing all at once. So
When you have like family, has your family seen you
yeah,
wrestle in person? When you have family or friends there, is it a different experience for you?
yeah, it is. I mean, of course, when there's fans there, we always want to show out and have fun with
Yeah.
them. But I think when your family or your people that you know personally, your friends come to watch, it's like, yo, I gotta do something a little extra special.
Oh,
So,
that's
but so
cool.
it's like a heightened adrenaline type thing. Like, oh yeah, all right, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, it's a little bit cooler in that aspect. Not that just having fans there in general isn't cool,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
when your loved ones are there and they're watching, it's like, all right, I got to show out like big time.
Uh, all right, here we go. Yes or no questions. Number one, can you eat rice with chopsticks?
Yes.
Wow. Two, are you fluent in Pig Latin?
No.
Okay. For $1.9 million, would you get involved? And this is not as dirty as what it's going to sound like coming out of my mouth. Would you ever, for $1.9 million, would you ever get involved in cockfighting for like a year?
No.
Okay. And we're talking about birds, people,
Yes, I understood that.
poultry.
I don't think that would
Have
pay for
you
the prison
ever
time.
have you ever had to deal with a pimp?
Have I ever had to deal with a what?
Deal with a pimp on a business level?
Oh, nope.
No, good for you. And finally, do you sweat profusely at night when you sleep?
Actually, yes, I am a sweater when I sleep, man. I get
Me
really hot.
too. Do you share your bed with someone?
Only when I'm at her house.
Okay, is that a problem? Because my wife thinks it's disgusting when she sees my shirt like
So I don't
in the
wear a
next
shirt when I
morning.
sleep, but I'm like a human heater, and she is like an ice cube, so it kind of counteraffects.
Oh,
So it works really well for us.
so sometimes your sheets must freeze from the liquid that you're producing and
Absolutely.
her coldness. All
Yeah.
right, 5 for 5. So has she seen you wrestle before?
Yeah. I'm not gonna say who she is right now,
Yeah, no, 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 no.
but she is a wrestler herself. Yes.
Did you ever show off? You know what I mean? Like in the ring
Um.
to specifically to impress her?
Yes. Yes, I've done it several times, and
And does
she's
she
done it
know
too.
this?
So
Okay, okay.
yeah,
It's your own little thing.
we do the tit for tat.
All right, perfect. Awesome. Chandler, it was so nice having you on. I was really looking forward to it and it didn't disappoint me at all. Where are you going to be wrestling in the next few weeks?
So this Saturday I'll be in Arkansas. I'll be at Ozark Wrestling. I'm wrestling Tim Storm, just a good
Oh,
old buddy of mine. I'm sure most people know him from NWA.
sure.
He's currently now on their commentary team, but Tim and I go way back. He was one of the first mentors I had in the business, and it's just gonna be a fun match Saturday in Arkansas with him. And then the following week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'll be down in San Antonio for AEW. So possibly see me on TV Wednesday night, or you could possibly see me on Darks or Rampage that week as well for them. And then let's see where we at after that. I've got a couple of things for Mania. I've got
Hmm.
on the second, April 2nd, I'll be wrestling for GCWA. I'll be wrestling Chris Carter, and then there's a really big news coming out for VIP Wrestling. They're doing Texas Mania.
Hmm.
I'll have one of the main marquee matchups on that card as well.
Nice.
And if it turns out being who it's going to be, then it'll be a really fun and cool match, and it
Oh,
probably be one of my
awesome.
tops. So
Oh, that's exciting. Will you watch WrestleMania at all at some point? Like, does that interest you?
I mean, it's not that I don't like WWE.
No, no,
Just the
no.
stories are just I just can't buy into it anymore.
Hmm.
But I am doing a signing on the morning of WrestleMania, and part of the stipulations with it is they're putting us in a suite as well that night. So
Oh,
we'll be at
cool.
WrestleMania on the 3rd that night in a suite watching, but I probably won't be there for long because the show that I'm on that night is at the midnight show. It's the last show of the WrestleMania week. So I'll probably leave early from there anyway. So I'll probably watch a little bit of it
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
get ready for my match and get ready for that because if it turns out being who the promoter is telling me that they're doing, then it's not announced yet. So I'm waiting, but if it turns out being who they're talking about, then it'll be a really good match.
Wow. I will be that time when you're wrestling, I will be probably relegated to watching WrestleMania on my phone.
Uh,
I don't get a lot of respect in my home as far as my wrestling fandom. So yeah, I have a little phone I can watch
that's
it.
all right.
So
Sometimes
excited.
sneaking off and doing that by yourself is better anyway.
Yeah, it's true. Go in the garage. All right, but that's a whole different thing. Chandler, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you giving me your time on a Monday night. But
Absolutely.
it was I had a lot of fun and thank you for coming on. I wish you nothing but health and happiness, and hopefully we can talk again down the road.
Absolutely, man. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. It was a blast. We'll do it again.
All right, you take care. All right.
Yes, sir. You do the same.
All right. Bye.